Grüß willkommen in einem Dragons video. Welcome to another exciting video, in this case part 11 of my equipment series of videos, in this case covering French armoured fighting vehicles. Wish to apologise before I start, my French is completely pathetic, so I have no doubt that I'm going to mispronounce many French words. What I'm attempting to do in this video is to provide an overview of the armoured vehicles in the French Army in 1940. The first video in the series will cover French armoured cars. The white AM armoured car, officially the Auto Militarisé White, or abbreviated as the White AM, was a French First World War armoured car that was built on the commercial American White Motor Company truck chassis with armoured bodies supplied by the French firm Ségur and Lofter. It was used by the French military from its introduction in 1915. The white AM armoured hull had a maximum armour thickness of 8 mm. It comprised approximately 30 armoured panels bolted onto a rigid steel frame and provided full overhead protection for the crew. The fully enclosed turret housed a 37mm SA-18 gun, howitzer, and an 8mm Hotchkiss machine gun. Usually or unusually, the two weapons were on opposite sides of the turret. In service, this arrangement proved difficult for the gunner compared to a coaxial arrangement. The white Laffy AMD 50 upgrade saw the white chassis completely discarded, with the armoured hull fitted to a Laffy chassis. The new chassis had a more powerful four-cylinder engine providing 37 kilowatts, which gave an increased maximum speed of 60 kilometres per hour and increased range of 300 kilometres. The vehicle retained the original turret with a 37mm main armaments, while the machine gun was substituted for a 7.5mm FM 24/29 machine gun, but still facing in the rear position. Only one company of 13 Laffy 50s were in France in 1940, the rest were deployed overseas. I'm uncertain where this company was deployed. I suspect it was in one of the armoured car battalions in a motorised infantry division, or possibly under Corps Command. The Laffy Vincennes AMD 80 was a further, more comprehensive upgrade to the AMD 50. The original white chassis was clearly already replaced with the new Laffy LC2 chassis. This chassis featured the more powerful engine, which I've mentioned before, and its range was in this case increased to 400 kilometres. The AMD 80 also had a new turret which mounted a 13.2mm M1929 heavy machine gun, a coaxial 7.5mm machine gun, and a second FM 2429 mounted machine gun in the rear of the turret. All were deployed in the French colonies in 1940 and were not present when the Germans invaded France in 1940. The AMD Schneider P16, also known as the AMD Citroën Cresseur Model 1929 or the Panhard Schneider P16, was a half-track that was designed for the French Army before World War II. The AMC P16 was designed for the Cavalry Corps. The first pre-series of 4 were built by Citroën in 1925 and as enlarged, more powerful M23 armoured cars. In the M29, an octagonal turret was placed on top of an octagonal fighting compartment. The turret had a short SA-16 37mm howitzer in the front and an 8mm Hotchkiss machine gun, which actually had a calibre of 7.92 in the back. However, the main production was assumed by a later model, the M29. A more powerful Panhard P17 replaced the former engine, an extra superior return roller was added, a more sturdy fixation and a larger front ditching drum roller were fitted, providing a 50cm climbing capability. The turret was modified, shortened, squared, with all the armament now fixed on the front, comprising the same SA-16 37mm gun, coupled with a more modern fast-firing coaxial Mach 31 7.5mm machine gun. The first P-16s first served in 8 of the autonomous squadrons, and my apologies, my French just simply can't handle this, Auto Militaries de Combat, which in 1937 were allocated to 4 of the 5 cavalry divisions. Later they were used by the 1st Division, or 1st DLM, Mechanised Light Division, France's first real armoured division, as the main battle vehicle until being replaced by the S-35 from 1937. 14 were then transferred to the 2nd Regiment de Chasseurs in Africa in Tunisia, and the remainder to the infantry divisions, who deployed them as auto-militaries, the reconnaissance or reconnaissance armoured cars, in the groups, the reconnaissance, the division of the infantry, basically the reconnaissance units within the motorised divisions. The actual formations were provided by the cavalry arm, even though they were deployed in the infantry or motorised infantry divisions. The formations that possessed these formations were the 1st, 3rd, 4th, 6th and 7th Motorised Infantry Division, and each had one of these formations with a nominal strength of 16, basically 4 platoons of 3 in their group, group of squadrons of reconnaissance, or GER, and a reserve of 4 vehicles, for a total of 80 armoured cars. In reality, the total number was lower. On the 2nd of September 1939, these units, all the units, had only a total of 74 P-16s, and on the 10th of May this had dropped to 54. 8 at the 1st, 12 at the 2nd and 9 at the 4th Divisions, and a maximum of 13 at the 6th Division and 12 at the 7th Division. In the last 2 units, they were part of 2 mixed AMR-AMD squadrons. 16 were at that moment in repair or used for driver training. 22 were listed in the General Material Reserve. These had in fact broken down and were considered beyond repair. Some GRDIs, or reconnaissance squadrons, accommodated by reducing the number of P-16 platoons from 4 to 3. In the infantry arm, this type of vehicle was also known as the AMR Schneider P-16. The bulk of French armoured cars consisted of the P-165, which we'll be talking about now. The Panhard 165/175 is a French armoured car from the interwar period, produced by Panhard Levasseur. Designed at the end of the 1920s for the French cavalry, it served mainly in the colonies during the end of the Moroccan campaign in 1934 and in 1941-43 during the Second World War. The follow-on vehicle, the Panhard 175, was a modernised version of the Panhard 165, but otherwise was reasonably similar. The Panhard 178, or commonly called Pan-Pan, was an advanced French reconnaissance 4x4 armoured car that was designed for the French Army cavalry units before World War II. The P-178 had a crew of 4 and was equipped with a very effective 25mm main armament and a 7.5mm coaxial machine gun. During the Battle of France from 10th of May 1940, on which date about 370 completed vehicles were available, the Panhard 178 were allocated to reconnaissance units of the mechanised and motorised divisions or forces. The first 19 vehicles were in April 1937 taken into the service by the 6th Cuirassier Regiment. At the outbreak of the Second World War, 218 vehicles were fielded within 11 squadrons of varying sizes. The French motorised division contained a single company or squadron of 13 vehicles. The light or motorised divisions of the cavalry had a squadron of 12 Panhards plus a radio car and a material reserve of 4 in their Regiments der Automilitaires, or RAM, or their reconnaissance formations. The total in the cavalry light divisions would be 85 vehicles. The 3 armoured divisions of the cavalry, the DLM, or Division Légère Mécanisée, had a nominal organic strength of 40 armoured cars, plus 4 radio vehicles and an organic material reserve of 4 vehicles. This would make for a total of 144 in these mechanised light divisions. Finally, a single platoon of 5 armoured cars were deployed with the DCRs, which were the heavy armoured divisions, in the reconnaissance company. These may have consisted of older armoured cars as well, but would have also partially consisted of the P-178, at least in some of the divisions. Under the armistice condition, the Vichy regime was allowed to use 64 Panhards for police service. These vehicles, mainly taken from the May-June production batches, had their guns removed and replaced with an additional machine gun. And so I come to a close of my Part 11 weapons series of videos, in this case covering French World War II armoured cars. I look at them, ding, comments, and there.